you're good.
Good and great, man.
Beautiful. So,
Loud and clear.
So Touchdown is your new co-host.
Touchdown, yeah.
Touchdown, a new co-host.
Yeah, Touchdown.
You have to pay my friend, you know?
I Touchdown and call him your campus name.
Long time. So you never know?
Yeah, you hear me already and
no,
tell me already, you know.
Nobody know Touchdown at campus as Andrew. Nobody know any name.
So you say you don't play NFL, or you not do NFL? Touchdown is
Touchdown.
NFL.
Why? It don't really have not much to do with NFL, you know.
And if Xavier ever play when we touch down in, hey, look here. But we have to play a song for you. Over to you, Bob.
Blessings, Jenny. The Sports Explosion it is. As you said a while ago, it's Tuesday, October 4. You realize how the year I go fast, Andrew?
I'm if you tell you.
Them say when you're getting older, the years go faster, you know.
True.
You know when you're a kid and you want Christmas come, Christmas take long to come.
Very long.
You know there's all the Christmas turnover get faster and faster and faster.
Too fast.
You know what thing we say when it reach September, you know, the years start go downhill.
Yes, man.
Like a stone rolling down a hill, you know.
Avalanche, man.
Avalanche heading towards that Christmas period. All right. Andrew, we're not going to waste much time this morning. You know, we have some other topics where we have to touch before we get into the substantive issues we have to discuss. And we're not going to get sidetracked this morning. I pledge not to get sidetracked this morning, but we have to mention a couple of issues. This news broke yesterday about Shimron Hetmyer. You heard it?
Yeah, man.
Let me read it. Let me just read the story for those who... Shamar Brooks will replace Shimron Hetmyer in the West Indies squad for the ICC T20 World Cup in Australia, which starts on October 17th. The Cricket West Indies selection panel made the decision to replace Hetmyer after he missed a rescheduled flight to Australia for the Caribbean side's upcoming two-match T20 series against the Aussies. CWI says the 25-year-old requested a change to his original flight, which was scheduled for Saturday, October 1, due to family reasons, and was subsequently booked to travel on Monday, October 3, that was yesterday, with the understanding that he would miss the first T20 against Australia, October 5, which is tomorrow. But Hetmyer informed the director of cricket, Jimmy Adams, that he would not be able to get to the airport in time for his flight to New York on Monday. Adams says the selectors then unanimously chose to replace Hetmyer with Brooks for the tournament, saying that the CWI had already informed Hetmyer that any further issues with travel would lead to him being replaced in the World Cup squad. What do you think we have to read that more? I think, what do you think about that? Quickly, just quick after.
I think something seem odd. You know, it's not clear. I think it's a politically correct statement we get this.
I don't think so, sir. A two-word we can use, sum it up, man. Waste man. Waste man. Hetmyer a big waste man around the cricket. I have a lot of fans around the region because him show some potential. He was the captain of that winning under-19 World Cup team. But his attitude sucks, my boss.
Yeah, his attitude.
He's
poor.
not a professional cricketer. He doesn't behave like a professional cricketer. And I think he's one of the indices of the modern West Indies cricketer. Make some money off a T20 but not really committed to the game itself. Much less the West Indies cricket, you know. Because this is a World Cup, a World T20 World Cup, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you're a T20 specialist, you want to appear at the World Cup.
Yes, man.
This man don't want to play at the World Cup with him.
He have other agendas.
He have a wife there still. Let me just leave it there, sir. He have a wife there. He have a wife that he understands is a little bit older than him. So I think he's being... Let me leave it as. All right.
Standpoint.
Let's standpoint. Something else I wanted to mention before. I think it's just bizarre, the story I want to check now. I don't think anything. He's had a history of this kind of nonchalance towards, towards playing for the West Indies, you know. Yeah. But it's a little bit surprising because it's the World Cup and they all want to play the World Cup. I don't think I have much problem with Brooks as his replacement either.
No, it's a well-earned replacement.
Yeah, you got that century in the semi-final of the CPL, probably seal his spot. All right. We heard some names coming out yesterday about one particular name, the Gen Secretary position for the JFF. The long vacant position. Mr. Dennis Chung, his name came up. We even saw there was an Observer report, I think, yesterday.
Yeah,
that he will be the next
Gen Sec. I read it this morning.
How definitive was the report? I didn't read it. I saw the headline. Let me say, he will be the next Gen Sec.
Well, The article said reliable sources.
Oh, reliable sources.
Yeah, but
we see
Mr. Chung offered no comment, and there was nothing from the other side.
And we're seeing in the Star now, on the sports page of the Star, no offer made. Chung receives no general secretary pitch from the JFF, so that remains up in the air. I think it's probably on the cards, you know. First, I must tell you that Mr. Chung was in New York and with the JFF officials for that game. He's a functionary with the JFF in terms of
the head chairman of the finance committee.
Yeah. And he was very much in New York with the team for the game against Argentina. For those who don't know, Mr. Dennis Chung was once the president of the Cycling Association of Jamaica. You know? So he has some expertise in sports administration. In terms of the wider competence, I think. What is about the choice, as Jen say? Not a football man per se.
No, but the job of general secretary is not necessarily a football man job. You know, it's really somebody who is a manager, a top level manager. You know, or administrator, should I say?
Yeah.
So
he has those credentials.
Yeah, man, him credentials.
I think he was the president of the private sector organization of Jamaica at one point, and an advisor to the Prime Minister as well.
Yeah, and he was director at NSWMA.
Yes, I think he stepped down from that recently. So,
in profile, strong, man.
Strong. I said this would be a winning touch for Mr. Ricketts if you get him in there.
Well, once we have somebody in the job doing what is expected and what is required, is always going to be a winning touch, you know.
All right, there's some other things happening. You have a game today in the Manning Cup, but it's not them things we want to talk about today. There's some other things happening. I think even Champions League football.
Yeah, man.
My team still trying to kickstart them season today. And some other fixtures on today. But we're not going to
get a sweet fixtures today, man.
Is who? Celtics run a Anfield.
Yeah.
If we can't beat that, we just call off the season. We just call off the season if we can put in a command display against a team like Celtics. It would be an embarrassing. We've been. It's been embarrassment after embarrassment this season. But Andrew, we're not going to get sidetracked this morning, my boss. The narrative, the buzzword, development. When people hear the word development in discussions like these, I think there's a perception that, you know, of huge training complexes, high-tech academies, millions of dollars in terms of your budget and that kind of thing that people tend to associate with first world development. Now, let me start from the vision, the idea where you have for development of football in Jamaica and what your objectives are.
All right, so what you outlined a while ago is pretty much, as you contextualize it, what takes place in the developed world where there's abundance of financial resources and other resources.
Right.
But development in smaller countries, right? We have to be more mindful of our environment, and we have to be more specific of our own environment. So we have to look at what I call the intangibles and also the tangibles. Now, the intangibles are almost without cost in most cases, are minimal costs. And those can be very, very effective. Yeah. So, if I would just say, for example, right, we have a thing what we call pathways in football.
Pathways.
Right.
Yes.
And basically, you talk about a pathway for players, pathways for coaches, referees, coach educators, mentors, administrators in the game. So, for example, if a secretary is working in a club, say, Los Profectos in Manchester, that secretary, general secretary for Los Profectos, should be able to recognize a pathway that can lead him or her to becoming the general secretary of the JFF eventually, based on training and development opportunities, right?
Okay. You talk about a pathway, a progressive pathway.
Yes.
All right.
Right? So now we go to the players. If I have a under 14 kid playing at Genesis, right? There should be a clear pathway as to how this player transitions from a grassroots player at Genesis Football Academy to an elite youth player who then transitions to the national youth teams and eventually the senior team. Because, as I said yesterday, the football is a pyramid, basically. And at the top of that pyramid is your senior men national team. So all developmental programs and objectives should be really streamlining into that, where we're looking to provide the players. So one of the things that we I think don't cost no money is for us to clearly define what is the profile for the different positions that the Jamaica national team must have.
When you say positions, what you mean? You mean
so goalkeeper.
Player positions.
Yeah,
okay, you're
so
talking
the
specific to
goalkeeper,
player positions.
What is the profile of our goalkeeper? What is the profile of our left fullback? What is the profile of our centre backs?
Let us demonstrate what you're talking about to the listeners by something we spoke about off air yesterday. You were telling me about the equivalent conversation with when you were in Germany with the training.
Right.
And they spoke about looking for, let us say, a left back.
Right.
You remember that story you were telling me?
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
So the conversation really was between myself and one of my lecturers when I was in Germany. He had just come back from a conference at NF in Germany, and the conversation started basically him giving me a notepad and pen and say, write down what I think would be the characteristics of the ideal midfielder of the future.
Right. And
he did the same, and we compared notes. We had similarities and we had differences. Right. Then he went on to say to me now that who do I think would be that who in the current game best fits those attributes.
You mean internationally? Who in the current game?
Right.
And your attributes you put on were things like pace and ball control, physicality, size,
speed, etc.
All of that kind of thing.
Right.
And then who in the modern game at the time?
In 2014.
Yeah.
So we identified Paul Pogba, Arturo Vidal, and there was another one I can't quite remember. I think it might have been Sergio Busquets, but I'm not sure. And we were in agreement on that. Then he said to me that the technical director of the German Football Association just gave them, the coaches across the country, instructions to identify 5,000 boys 9 to 12 years old.
5,000?
5,000 who fits the profile that they came up with.
Boys with the kind of characteristics identified in the quintessential midfielder.
Right, correct. So the idea was to identify 5,000, out of which they hope to get 2.
Yes, eventually forget
2 in about 15 years time. Yeah.
Inherent in that method though, it points to a distinct disadvantage for a small country like Jamaica. The scale is going to be different.
Of course.
But we don't have 5,000 players.
And we don't need to have 5,000 players.
Yes.
What we need to be able to do is not, let's look at it, in economics they call it economies of scale, right?
Yeah, man.
So we don't have 5,000 players. Right. We don't need to do that.
Right.
What we need to do is to be very clear. What is the profile that we are looking for in a centre forward? So that Andre Vertue, Rona Ballers, Gregory Jones up at ECA, and all the other coaches at grassroots level know that, okay, Andrew Edwards have these physical characteristics already. Him have these technical tenets that we can develop. Now can we train this player to add to those characteristics that he already have to become a potential national senior team player down the road. That's all it requires.
Question though. All right, that kind of vision and that kind of philosophy has to come from the governing body, like the national governing body.
Yeah, and we're saying,
because you're going to find, if you leave it down to independent academies, for example.
That's what I said at the top. Yeah. So this is something that, from a developmental point of view, don't cost nothing.
Right.
It just takes some time for us to bring people to a table and say, what do we think or what do we require? When we look at the game.
And this don't need no big fancy academy.
No.
Or no high-tech training center.
And watch this now. To just take the conversation into another little space. My first association with the JFF was when Bora Milutinovic was coaching here. I think that was about 2004. Thereabout.
Yeah.
And Bora got the JFF to embrace what I call like regional development programs. So Donovan Duki and myself were the two persons selected for Eastern Confederation. So we would go around to all the parishes and scout players, bring them to training sessions, and then eventually create an Eastern Confed team, which both of us coached. And we ended up coaching that Eastern Confed team against the national select team that Bora had.
Yeah.
Right? Out of that, Donovan Davis from Anatabi was selected to the national team and ended up scoring the winning goal in a tournament that we played somewhere down in Asia. Was a Lunar Cup, I think it was called at the time. Right? So the idea is one that operates in Europe, pretty much all of Europe. Germany has it for sure.
But it's structured though.
Yeah, so how it works basically in Germany. Right? And I will speak about France in a second. You have what they call regional development centers, and then you have the National Training Center. So in Jamaica, we have the National Training Center, which is the Captain Horace Burrell Center. Right? Yeah. So we could put a center, let's say, in Montego Bay.
One west and one central.
So maybe States or
somewhere in the central
Manchester,
region.
wherever. Right. We don't need no fancy infrastructure. We just identify a venue. The infrastructure that is required now is what I call an intangible infrastructure. So you have like a head coach or a regional head of development, talent development, let's call it that. So Tracey is the regional head of talent development in Central Jamaica. Diggy Henry is the regional head in West, and Tom Stroke out of East and so forth. Right? So now all the players who are of a certain level, right, we will determine based from what we have come from earlier with the profile.
With the profile.
Right? So we say, all right.
And how early you start look for those qualities, generally, in that kind of setup? How early?
Ideally, national teams start to identify players at about 14 years old across the world. Right. So like, when I coach a national under-17 team, the 80 teams that beat us the 2 times I coached a national under-17 team, those players were gathered from they were 14 years old and kept in a camp setup, sort of go to school and just play football. Right. So, so now, in Central Jamaica now, Tracey operate at Kirkvine, just for argument's sake. And every week, he has probably, let's say, 3 days of the week. So day one, him probably I work with just defenders. So you say all of the schools in the region or the clubs in the region send their best defenders on a Tuesday, just for argument's sake. And you do that the next day is maybe midfielders, the next day strikers, goalkeeper training happen separately. And then from the regional centers, we move them to the national training center. So that now requires also to develop a database. So we now be able to track the players and their development and the progress. This must also occur in tandem with the clubs and schools.
Right.
So
because these will be select players of a certain quality.
Right. So when they come at the regional center, they are going back to their clubs or their schools with assignments, areas that are specifically targeted for development, whether it be physical, technical, tactical, etc. Yeah. So in my opinion, these things no cost no whole heap of money.
So these are things that we can implement as we speak.
In my opinion.
You just need, it's more a conviction to get it done, you need.
Exactly.
Rather than people being scared by this word development, where you're thinking about some
big building and some
building and big multi-field facility.
No, I don't think that is absolutely
not practical.
Yeah.
If we could have get them fine, we say not practical right now.
And then another point I have in my whole thing, right, is stakeholder engagement. And like, our players and past players are a big part of our stakeholders, are an essential set of stakeholders, I should say, right? Now, we have seen national teams at the World Cup donate all of their earnings from the World Cup to developing facilities in their country for the next generation. We have seen individual players set up academies in them country at varying skills. I would love to see the day when our national players do something similar. Where
we have enough players that earn the kind of money for that kind of thing.
You don't need no bag of money again, Oral. You don't need no bag of money again. Right? So, for example, if our current reggae boys, right, say, all right, whatever we earn, we are going to put $10,000 from every earning situation towards running an academy. I mean, not about no building and no fancy infrastructure. I mean,
do some of the stuff for we talking about.
So you get a group of coaches trained properly and invest that time in developing youth, say from the inner city then. So you say you just cater to inner city youth. Youth who can afford to pay if they come at Genesis or Ballers or any other academy then. We are cater for them youth here. Right? Similar to what this Virginia Heitzman who used to down a Southside.
Yeah.
And enough of our national players, them
come through him,
come through him.
Yeah, man, we know that,
so
man.
why now we can't say, all right, make we find another
another person for fill that. Because there's a void there where Iceman left.
So another part of the development, is coach education.
Yeah,
right? Right? Which, apart from the CONCACAF certification that we're doing now, there are many other aspects to it. So, for example, you have academic management that we need to train our thing. You have experiential learning, which, for example, we have the possibility to send coaches away in our region, CONCACAF. Yeah, region CONCACAF, as well as we also have the possibility to send coaches to different parts of the world for short stints where you get the opportunity to work. And these are things that I have explored, so I know it is possible.
Let me ask you something. The way the narrative was shaping up over the past couple of weeks, you see, was that to pursue this kind of vision, it would entail a prioritizing of our resources in terms of all of this came about,
Yeah, man.
Because of the hiring of the new national coach, You think it's something that it's either or?
No, and it should never ever be either or. Because, again, if the idea of development is to streamline players into the national team, then the national head coach must have a vested interest in the development of players coming through. In the same way, the developmental aspect of the football must be aligned with the national senior teams, male and female. So it can't be either or. Right? Now, obviously, from a financial standpoint, the national senior teams will require more of the financial resources of the federation. Now, for us in a country like Jamaica, and this again is just opinion, my opinion.
Yes, by your research and your experience. Yes.
Right? When you look at the countries in Africa, for example, most of them are very similar or worse situation like us.
Yeah. Do they have this kind of structured development programs in countries like Africa? Remember?
Some of them.
We export so many talented players all around the world.
So
because, all right, fine. Let me just interject here. Because for all intents and purposes, when I look at the football landscape in Jamaica, what has been happening and what I think will continue to happen in the foreseeable future is that as soon as we get a player, a player shows some superior talent, superior potential, his best bet will be to leave Jamaica, for him to further maximize his potential.
But Oral,
because I don't think we're capable here with what we have to produce the complete professional football player.
It now go happen in Jamaica, full stop.
All right. Because you put it more bluntly than me.
It now go happen in Jamaica, full stop.
Yeah.
So just look over Big Apple.
Yeah.
Just look over USA. Where USA send for them best player them.
All right.
All of them there Europe.
All right, sir.
Right? You think about Belgium, Portugal,
Africa.
We never go down there so yet.
Yeah.
We are sticking at Europe.
Yes.
Right? Two of the top teams in the world. Over 80%, probably 70-80% of their team does not play in their country. All right? It is if you read the Belgium long-term player development plan, it states categorically that the players must reach a certain level within Belgium and then go out.
And then they go for fulfill their potential. And it's even more so for a country like Jamaica.
Exactly. So our idea should be that we should try to get our very best players prepared to leave the country between 16 and 18 years old.
Okay. And I would have suggest probably earlier. Better.
No, because of the FIFA rules and human trafficking and all of them things.
Oh, you don't want.
Yeah, you have to be mindful of that. So it can happen, but the circumstances under which it will happen for younger players would be different.
So the objective of our development program, as we're touching on now, would be to basically widen the pool of players
naturally
that will develop to a point where they can go off into the bigger leagues of Europe.
100%.
Okay. So it's not that we're trying to recreate the EPL or the Italian Serie A in Jamaica.
That's not possible.
But you see, some of these things we have to clarify, Because I think when we talk about development, a lot of people seem to think all right, we're looking at what is happening in other countries around the world, and figure say it can happen in Jamaica.
Some of it can, but we have to scale it to our own environment, right? And we have to pick and choose what aspects of it can. So, for example, in my opinion, I don't see nothing impossible with us having regional centers across the country. Yeah,
and at least 3 of them.
Yeah,
maybe 4.
So we already have what we call the confeds in Jamaica. Eastern,
so
Western,
each
Southern. Each confed have one, right? And then you have coaches, some more senior than myself, some less senior than myself, who are more than willing and capable to come in and do the thing.
Something like this would have to be sustainable. I mean, or should I ask you? You'd have to sustain it, because the positive effects of something like this will happen over time. It's not something we're going to start this year and next year we see the results.
It cannot. Because, again, Oral, if we are talking about serious development, it can't be something that we are looking for do for 5 years or 10 years.
It has to be longer term than that.
Yeah, man. Then there must something we are looking for outlive the whole away.
Exactly.
Right?
You put in a structure in place.
Let me show you something.
And callers and listeners, we're coming to you on the half hour. You can talk to Andrew, and we're going to continue as we go along to discuss the issues surrounding development. He has a lot of ideas. He was telling me, well, you told me yesterday, I think you told the listeners that you did a whole paper on it.
Yeah, man.
Basically detailing, your ideas based on what you saw and what you researched upon.
Yeah, man.
You were saying?
Yeah, so you have countries like Belgium, France, Spain, Germany.
European powers.
Right? And we come home closer now. The USA, Costa Rica, that I can speak to specifically, who have embarked on long-term development plans that bear fruit in 10 years. So the USA, for example, they have said it categorically. There's lots of papers out there where you can find it, that they have prepared their team to win the next World Cup.
Yeah, man.
Right? So all of these players that we just mentioned that are playing in Europe, the Geo-Rainers and so forth.
Yeah. They want to win the one they hosting.
In 2026. Right?
Yeah.
Germany got knocked out of Euros in 2004. Right? And came back with a different, them analysis and evaluation and changed them overall training methodology, yada.
Yeah.
The profile of the players that they wanted for the team, they won the World Cup in 2014. Belgium,
the golden generation of Belgium came after them not qualifying.
Same thing, right? The author of that one, what's his name again? I met him once at a CONCACAF function in Miami. Not Miami. Up with the
wherever.
Yeah. Right. And So the whole thing is that the research has shown that technical development will bear fruit in about 8 to 10 years' time.
Yeah, generally.
Right? So, when I was technical director in the Turks and Caicos, that's when I started to have a greater appreciation for these things, because you got the whole heap of training and...
Yeah, the technical director training.
Right. And you get to understand now that one of the things them say is that a national team is a reflection of the work that went into the players 8 years prior. Yeah. So when you look on the Jamaica national team now, if you were to trace where all our players were 8 years ago, it would give you a better idea as to their level of readiness now, basically, or where they might come from. So, if we were to say, for example, all right, 2030 World Cup, all right, we want to make a bang in that World Cup.
Yeah.
So we are looking at some players between 12 and 16 years old.
We have to start that process from now.
Yeah. You get what I mean?
How that would affect the dynamic of us perennially going overseas to add pieces who are players who.
All right. So another piece in the puzzle is.
Other countries do this along with their development programs.
So another piece in the puzzle.
And callers, we're coming to you on the half hour. We're on the half hour now. Yeah.
Another piece.
Make your last point and then we go to the call. We go for a break and then we go to the callers. Yeah.
Another piece in the puzzle is talent identification.
Hold on, man.
Right?
Am I something that you know?
Now, one of my closest friends that I've met in recent times is a virgin who is now head of talent development at Blackburn
Rovers?
Yeah. He was doing the same job at the Wales Football Association for 20 odd years. All right. So he did a presentation at one of my training, and we connect and we keep in touch. I had him on a YouTube program a couple of weeks ago. What they did in Wales was to expand your talent identification over into England, the British territories.
Yeah.
Right? Now, it's very simple and it never cost them nothing. Basically just
some individuals.
Connections.
Yeah, yes.
So Jamaica must never be a local based team primarily, because that's not going to ever give us our very best team.
Yes.
But what we must have is clear guidelines as to how players are selected for the team.
And the kind of players.
And the kind of players.
Some more meticulous thought
so
into
now,
who you're going for.
Our Paula's and our Fitzroy Simpsons and the other people them out,
they'll have a part to play.
Yeah, if you help identify talent.
Yeah.
So like
all right, Andrew, make we run to the break and engage the callers early. ASAP. Andrew Edwards in the building with a mouthful people. Interesting school of thought, development. If we're serious about football in Jamaica, going forward instead of just doing this thing ad hoc every 4 years, I think we have to get down to some serious actions, spinning off of some of these discussions we're having about development. We'll go for a quick break and then we open up the phone lines. 920-2053, 920-6441. And remember, WhatsApp family, 878-0120. We'll soon come back to Sports Explosion soon. Welcome back to the Sports Explosion. All right, we invite the callers to engage. Your engagement don't have to be limited to what we're talking about. There are other issues. The Champions League today. Liverpool hosting Rangers. The headfire situation. I find rather comedic. Bizarre. And Andrew Edwards, of course, giving us a mouthful. So lots to talk about. 920-2053, 920-644. WhatsApp family, you know the drill. 878-0120. Turn down your radios and record the messages clear and concise. I made them as short as possible. Get to the point as quick as possible. All right. Who else? Michael. Morning, Michael.
Where's the boss?
Where's my boss? You want to pick up yourself, man. Welcome to the Big Bad Sports Explosion. Andrew in the house as well. Yeah.
Oh, Mr. Coach Extraordinaire.
Yeah, man with the 40th burden on his shoulders this season.
Well, it's not even that. I think that he's based on his credential. I think he's the boss. I think him better than the man from. I think him better than the white man there, and I was trying to ascertain though why that.
That set up Andrew, no?
No, man, I'm serious, man. You know, I had my stick when we are leaking.
Yeah, man.
But you know what? I was discussing this with a friend the other day. Last schoolboy football season, we have a lot of talent from West, some from Manning, some from State, and then we have some from Dintil, and then we have some, I would say.
Some from Garvey Masio too.
Some from Garvey Masio, and some from East. I would say, why couldn't we get the 23 best players in each facet, defense, midfield and forward, and keep them together for at least another 4 months, having them in specific training, and then we play a regional competition among them to extend the football season.
Well, there's lots to talk about. We were talking to Chris Williams the other day, Andrew, and one of his proposals was to extend the amount of football being played by the youngsters at that level. How practical is that? As a man, we're in the system.
All right, so one of the things that we're not talking about yet in the world development is leagues and competitions, right?
Yeah.
A couple of years ago, I think it was 2017, I wrote a piece proposing some restructuring of schoolboy football, basically creating 3 tiers of football across the country, and allowing the teams to play a minimum of 22 matches per season.
So you carry them going over into January?
Yeah, man, because in my opinion, and I know I'm going against the grain right here, but football is the main sports for ISA.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Football and
track and field for sure, right?
Football and champs.
But then you look at track and field, basketball, cricket. All of those 3 sports go across 2 and 3 terms, right?
Football is just 3 months.
A struggle for playing at 12 weeks.
You squeeze it in before
in 12 weeks, does not make no sense.
Yeah.
You understand?
One of the challenges, Carla, you're there still, my virgin?
Yes, man, I am here, man. Don't worry, man.
One of the challenges is that ISA going to tell you that they are not responsible for development
Quite
of football
correct.
in Jamaica.
So back in 2014, we did a proposal to Digicel at the time when they were in bed with Chelsea. With this Digicel Kickstart clinic thing.
Yeah.
And out of that, we ended up with the elite youth competition, which was...
Yeah, I remember that. It was under 18, I think. Yeah.
The original proposal, though, was for under 14 and under 16.
Yeah, I think that would make more sense.
And over 6 months.
The under 18 was kind of parallel with the schoolboy football.
Right. So there is... If we could do that over 6 months, 8 months... You know,
the kids have exam.
No, man. You play the games. You play the games only on Saturdays, man.
Okay, like weekend.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
You them train Monday to Thursday and play Saturday. You understand?
So you see something that is worth exploring.
Yeah, but the thing is, it will cost money. That will cost money because referees' fees alone is a sizable.
Schoolboy football attract good sponsorship, though.
Yeah. So now the question is, can we add some sponsorship to a national youth competition, right?
That is the way we go.
Yeah, we need to, and the truth is, there is evidence that there are people in corporate who want to support youth football because Guardian Life for many years did a U13 competition in Western Jamaica, right?
Milo doing an all island,
right? Albeit a short couple weeks, yeah. And I just see an under 11 competition being run by FYI. Yeah. So there is evidence. What we don't see is.
I can go back to the caller.
Yes,
yes, sir. We don't
I am listening now. I am okay, man.
Oh, you're listening. Okay. So, all right. Is you see, Andrew, sometimes changes, people are naturally resistant to change, you know.
True.
A schoolboy football that's been structured like that for
100
decades.
years. 100 years. Plus.
Century.
100 years.
Century.
Plus. Certainly in terms of the money.
Take a whole but pulling out of the year.
Yeah, man.
Forget that even COVID, did COVID extend the football season over into January? One of the seasons?
Yes. This is the last one.
The last one.
Yeah.
Well, it's something worth exploring because whether we like it or not, you know.
But
schoolboy football is pivotal to the development of youngsters in Jamaica.
And this is why sometimes I find ISA to be a bit disingenuous when they make that comment.
You see,
yeah, man, because they like to brag and boast about their contribution to national development when it comes to track and field and other sports. So why not with football?
Well, them take them hand and fight for
exactly,
football.
Right?
Yeah.
And then now, FIFA, as part of the 8-year technical development plan, which started, I think, 2 years ago, I've introduced a football in schools program, which means that there's some funding
available for schoolboy football.
I'm not sure it would be available for Manning and the Costa Cup, but maybe at primary school, maybe at the primary school level, which would be very good in any case.
Yeah. All right, my friend, you have any other point that you want to drop?
We're not target, man.
I want to know you for talk. I'm not trying to get you for talk long time. All right, your time though.
No, you see, I have two issues really, and I'm glad you come back, you know, because you are the one that me want. Do you think though that you're the white guy that stash egg in your federation?
Who you calling white guy? You call the national coach you're referring to like that?
I don't know his name, you know.
Mr. Hal Grimson.
Hal
Grimson. Don't call the national. Don't refer
do
to
you
the
not think?
coach.
Do you not think that he stash egg in speed and the
JFF?
Yes, when he unceremoniously take back Reed.
Andre Blake.
And I am asking Blake, right? And I am asking the same question. Do you think the same issue that occurred with Taffa when he was away and he says supports the player, and the same issue also happened to Paul Hall when Paul Hall resigned and he says supports the player? Do you not think the same?
This coach is now showing signs of supporting the players as well.
That's right, and should he not be treated the same way?
It's a bit different though, no, Michael.
Tell me why.
because one, the coach, this time first assignment, all right?
Right.
And his condition is that.
No, sorry. Ironically, though,
Hold on, stick
this was the second assignment for Paul Hall.
Yeah, but the difference here though is that the coach is making it abundantly clear that he wants to start a new slate. Yeah. We don't want to carry.
No, we are bringing that narrative.
Listen.
All right, let me listen to you.
Yeah.
You are bringing that narrative which I don't support.
But it's not a matter of support, in terms of the narrative.
Yeah.
In other words, what do we support? Do we support individuals or individual situations?
No, man. When it comes to the football,
do you think that the decision of the coach and the suggestion that we're starting on a new slate is healthy for the country and the country's football?
And the football, yeah. How can you disagree with that?
Okay.
Is that healthy?
And I am going to tell you what I think.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
No, I can't. In terms of my support for the national team or the national program, it is not a matter of question.
Yeah.
But it does not ignore principle.
Mm-hmm.
It does not ignore principle. And I am saying, and everybody is saying, and the journalists in Jamaica are playing it down because they are using the narrative that you are starting over a new page.
Right. Are you saying we're not? You're suggesting we're not?
I don't think so because
you want us to go back to the whole. You want us to go back to the bickering?
No, I am not talking the bickering. There was no bickering, All I am asking you though is that if he take that stand continuously and the same JFF beside the same principle, I don't believe it lasts for 2 years. Although, based on my information, you have to stay for 4 years.
That's a speculation, Michael. And you have to.
No, man, we have to speculate. Remember, I said we don't have everything, and everything is a hypothesis until we prove it.
Exactly, but we also have to give. We have to also allow.
We are not. I am not saying I am not giving him that, but I am saying the narrative and the reality
is not the coach. It's not the coach, Michael. We have to give the JFF an opportunity to prove to us that they have evolved and that they are now demonstrating some level of leadership or they are moving in a different direction.
Mr. Edward, sorry to interject you. With all due respect. Based on history and based on everything, do you believe that there will be a change?
No, you give it a chance.
No, I am asking you though, your belief, your personal belief.
Listen,
you won't say it publicly, but
no, man, listen. Almost every man and them wife have issues at times, right? Yes. And some of those issues go on for decades before they eventually resolve and they move and then decide to move together.
And some never resolve.
And some never resolve. But at the end of the day, what we are seeing now is that the JFF is taking steps to make things different.
Well, they have hired a foreign coach. So that's a new step.
Exactly.
It's not a new step.
No. But by acceding to the coach's request to start on a new slate is a big deal.
It's a good step forward.
No.
Of course,
the JFF could have come out and resisted the reinstatement of Blake,
Of course, they could have.
That's what I am saying.
They could have.
Right, he could have. That's what I am saying.
And if they had done that, it would be a prolonging of the conflict and the bickering and the kind of disruptive thing that we don't want in the football going forward.
It's not that we want it, but you know what I said. You know what I said, Tracey, and you know that I don't hide.
Yeah.
I said that if they continue on the same path, if we even get Jesus, the next World Cup, we won't be there.
We just on the same path. What do you mean? Like what?
Like the bungling and the conflict.
But you're sounding a little bit conflicting because what you suggested initially is a continuation of the same thing, and what we see from the coach when he came in and made that decision was an attempt to let us say, look, let bygones be bygones, and
that's what I'm saying. So what happened is that we are throwing new wine into old glasses.
No, man, it's called moving on. You can define how you want to define it,
Right.
It's called moving on, a new slate. Look here, this is foolishness. This going on so long. This is going too long now. This is disruptive. This is not progressive. Let us see if we can act like grown men and move forward.
So, Tracey, with all due respect again, do you think that we need this long name man for us to see that?
No, all right, let me take this one.
Yes.
I've been trying to dodge it, but I'm not going to dodge it no more. From your call, me I try to dodge it. From your You see the psychology of Jamaicans, my boss?
Yeah.
Things that foreigners will get done, locals can't get them done in Jamaica. Anybody who born and grew up in Jamaica knows that's true. I don't know if Andrew afraid to say it, but me can say it.
Yeah.
The things that Mr. Halgrims will come in and do, probably
nobody else could
if it was Andrew do it and Tapa Whitmore do it, probably the JFF would have stopped and said, no man, you can't call about that man of the squad.
Yes.
But,
okay, that is only thing that I wanted to accede.
Yeah, man. They're not part of the reality, that man. It's part of the reality that, you know.
Yeah, we can't clone our own.
No, man, not that it is desirable, no. But it is part of the pragmatism where we have to.
Hey, give me one more thing.
Yeah.
You know what was amazing? You were at the Red Bull Stadium.
Yes.
Now, I hear a lot of people saying that the coach have 2 sessions
before the game.
Team. And there is a significant improvement and everything. And I am saying they...
2 sessions don't improve your team, my boss.
and I am saying they are insulting the coach that had it for 2 weeks. And nobody seems to see that.
Well, people used to say Paul Hall improved the team too. You remember that? People used to say that Paul Hall improved the team as well.
But not with 2 sessions.
No, he had 2 weeks. I don't think this coach, I don't think even the coach himself, Andrew, you don't think two training sessions can fundamentally improve.
But the coach said as much.
Yeah.
The coach said as much. You need time. As a matter of fact,
what he's trying to
do. He also said that he hopes that we can have longer time before the next set of games. You know?
Okay.
Right?
No,
you see what happened, you know, is that the football, we have some people who
I don't want to take up your time.
Just want to be antagonistic.
I don't want to turn
to see.
My Rasta friend and him.
Just to say to you, is Michael? Michael, tactically and organizationally, he probably couldn't make much change to the team, but
and that's what I am saying.
You can change the attitude of the players in one training session.
Simple.
So the credit should have gone to
one training session. One training session, you can change the attitude of the players.
So the credit should have gone to the coach who had it before.
For what?
For
how the team perform against Argentina?
Right.
You sound like you don't like this coach, I know.
No.
Who you get to?
No, man. I IQ like you with the you know. We not left done.
All right, Michael, big up yourself.
No, man, bless.
That means we should give. Who was it? Paul Hall?
Yeah.
Paul Hall should I get the credit for the performance of the Argentina team. All right. Me try dot them idea and cross them team. Morning, Salem, morning.
Yeah, morning, Tracey. Morning to everyone.
Morning, my boy.
A couple of things, Mr. Tracey. One for the coach and one for you. Yeah, Mr. Edward.
Yes, sir. Morning.
Yes, morning. I want to know what you think about that unfortunate incident with the spectators.
In Indonesia?
Yes.
It's very, very sad, quite frankly. And it is something that characterizes football in some parts of the world. I have seen some videos of what transpires when Boca Juniors play against River Plate, and some in Brazil as well, and other parts of Central and South America.
And the FA Cup in England too.
In the FA Cup in England. So
lower level teams, spectators invade the field.
It's very, very unfortunate that lives were lost and that things happen the way it happened. And it just speaks to the fact that we have
what can the governing body do it to keep these occurrences from repeating itself?
Very, very little. They just have to work on improving security as best they can and try to... I know that in some stadiums, for example, that I have seen, they separate fans. So, for example, Arnett Gans...
Rival fans.
Yeah. So they say, just use Arnett and Tivoli, for example. So Arnett Gans fans might be have to come in, enter from Spanish Town Road up at the top there, and Tivoli supporters have to enter from round the other side, round railway side, so that they don't mingle. And then inside of the stadium, you have partition fences, so they don't come into contact with each other.
Part of the complexity is that, remember because a couple of disasters where people got crushed.
Yeah, man.
Stadium don't have that fencing
partition anymore
to stop you from going up on the field anymore. Even at the national stadium, that your spectators can literally just jump over and walk on the field because you don't want a situation where people getting.
Yes, because Mr. Edwards, because a couple of weeks ago, when that incident happened in Jamaica, I said to Oral, sports used to be when I was growing up that place where you can be away from the violence and this and that, and a place where you can just go and enjoy yourself.
I think the security forces mismanaged the situation, grossly mismanaged the situation. In the thing, though.
Yeah, because they triggered the stampede with the firing of the tear gas and stuff.
Yeah. Oh, so they basically.
But the commissioner has lost his job over it, and a couple of other high-ranking officers.
Some of the operatives them figure, man. Terrible, man.
Okay, yes. Yes, the last thing, Mr. Tracey, Itmaya now, Mr. Tracey.
A big race, man.
Itmaya.
Big race, man. A Jerome batsman, And we have a lot of fans around the region. But but
it is not just Itmaya. It's the principle now, Mr. Edwards.
Itmaya worse.
Because I'm wondering if the players back then, Mr. Tracey and Mr. Edwards, if they could afford these things, if these things would happen. I know we can't go back in time.
I don't think so.
The stars, the Garfield Sobers of this world, and Wesall and all those.
You're going back so far. Why you not coming in a golden era with Vivan, Mikey, and Ghana and Marshall?
I'm talking basically all of them. I'm saying, I'm wondering if these players.
Viv Richards would have missed a flight to the World Cup, my boss. You don't have to go further than this.
But say a sticking point as the Oral and
Mount Salem.
In a team dynamics, I think there's a level of responsibility and leadership that is required of players within the team as individuals and as collectives.
Yeah.
Right? And I think at some point in time, and I think I met Viv Richards one time. It was a very short conversation, but just the demeanor of the man tells you that.
Viv is a different beast from them.
Yeah, it tells you, say, the man that would play with him couldn't take certain liberties. Yeah, you understand? And I'm saying,
a different generation.
In this generation, we have people who just like them afraid to call a spade a spade.
And the thing that annoys me about them is that they're not good.
Exactly.
Exactly.
That's the only thing we annoy me about them youth here now. They're not good.
Very average.
Go look for the man them average around them, boss. Them man we take liberty with the cricket and with West Indies. Them man them not good.
They are behaving as if they are Brian Lara making
exactly.
400.
Like them are Brian Lara and Viv Richards. Yeah. And the guys who were actually good never had that attitude. You think there's a correlation, my boss? There's a correlation between your attitude and how good you are.
It is also embarrassing to the rest of the world too.
No, man, them have raised Papa show a long time, brother.
Because the whole world is watching Mr. Tracy. Yeah, so it is not like back then.
We're supposed to be one of our shining lights in my boss. Joke, my boss.
All right. Have a good day.
I've had enough of people.
Have a good day, gentlemen.
Okay,
yeah, man, take care.
Thanks for your contribution. Joke, man. Them kind of thing why people don't watch cricket again, my boy. Patrick, morning, Patrick.
How you do? Morning.
I'm great, my boy.
Morning, Sir Andrew.
Blessed morning, General.
Question to you, Mr. Edward.
Yeah, man.
What is your role with the current JFF?
I don't have a role with the current JFF, sir.
Why you say you can't go up at the office?
Of course, I've been there.
You've been there.
The office is a public space, you know, I can't imagine that I am unwelcome there.
Okay.
Why would I be?
You're not officially. It's not.
Yeah, I don't have an official capacity with the JFF.
Right now.
Why I ask this question in oral because I listened to Sir Edwards and the whole development because. As you were saying in oral, the narrative about development, if you listen to what the people are saying, it's like we'd have said to FIFA, say, here what happened? Don't expect Jamaica to enter the next 3 World Cups.
Yeah, we put
development on track.
and build five five-star facilities.
Yeah, facilities.
And focus solely on development. And then we'll qualify for World Cup after World Cup after World Cup.
I have read a lot of what countries have done in terms of development.
Yeah.
And a lot of what I've read is a lot of what Andrew has said.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you have to say, all right, we're going to start with X amount of players, so we know that we have in the mix that we try to get 10, we have 10 left back, 10 right back, 30 centre half, maybe 50 midfielder, and X amount, in your player mix. So that means that when you would have reached a number, to say you have 25 players where we say at the final cut, we're looking at, because it's never a final cut, because there's always going to for somebody else to come in there.
Right. Patrick, you just inspire something, I thought, and I think I have to put it in. What are the complexities about our football space, is it Andrew and Patrick? It's the same schoolboy football, Because a lot of the processes you're outlining, it's not schools do it in the other part of the world,
No.
It's clubs do it.
It's clubs do it,
That's true.
So that is another little nuance of our reality where it will pose a difficulty. Because if you notice, since the emergence of a lot of the academies, Mount Pleasant and Ballers, so you realize how many of these players now leave the academies and come back and play schoolboy football.
Yeah, man.
Because they have no competition to play.
Exactly. So that's what
it's almost like you're defeating the purpose of the academies in the first place.
So we need leagues and competitions to accommodate them.
That is the next point I want you to raise.
Yeah, man.
So, Oral, can we go back to, and you will remember that years ago, the curtain raiser to the Premier League was what? I think
it was under 21. Under 21 at the time.
No, people used to say it never made no sense. Because if you was a good under 21, you
that is still my opinion. That is still I think we need a lower age group national competition.
Maybe we could have a under 17.
Right.
Curtain raiser that we're looking, say, then not just competition them a play to get fit and whatever. But they are going to be the next crop of under 20 players. That could be one way of choosing them.
Yes.
Because here what we do, because I'm listening, Oral, and I think I hear that is what, February and March going to be the next under 17
qualifiers
tournament.
Yeah.
And I listening and writing and counting the days when I'm going to hear, say, well, all right, we're calling up 50, 40, whichever amount of players, and the coaching staff that we're going to align to take them through. Because if we have what we're going to find, so here is Andrew Edwards, farmer, whatever his position was, back in Jamaica, and all him do a coach for a Manning Cup team. So between when December, January now, I don't know, maybe go back and teach, or go back and run him on a business or whatever. And then in the summer again, him come coach KC. What does he do with all of this wealth of knowledge that lock up in his head?
Why?
Well, we use it.
Can write as many books and papers, but we don't have to do anything with it.
But Patrick, we using platforms like these to share the information, and it might not be very obvious, but it is taking root in places, So, cause like as a person, I really do not at all I am doing for no self gratification. You understand? And that is one of the reasons why I took the opportunity to come on the air and share, because I don't have to work for the JFF in an official capacity to share what I have. You understand? If the technical director or the technical committee chairman or anybody want to have a conversation with me and then take everything and run with it, that's fine. If they want to take some of it or none of it, that's fine. You understand? It's not about me wanting to work with the JFF. Yes, that would be nice, but I don't have to.
But Andrew, you are in what is considered a unique position. That unique in the sense that you have theoretical knowledge and you have practical knowledge.
Yep.
And therefore, you should be in a position, if it's even to do some lecturing when the JFF have the coaches, if it's even come in, come say, well, my expertise is to plant grass.
Yeah, where are you?
Teach you how to plant.
Where are you back in Jamaica? And you know the resourcefulness that you have not been tapped into, man. Have you reached out to the JFF? Have they reached out to you?
Well, in a real way, before I came back home, I did apply for the post of head of coach education.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you're on that shortlist?
Right. So I was interviewed but was not chosen. Right?
Okay.
Outside of that, I don't know that there's a vacancy available that I could apply for. And unless I am approached, I can't just go up there and say, I want this job. You understand what I'm saying? So, I mean...
Maybe you need to go...
No, man. It don't work that way. It don't work that way, Patrick. I'm not insinuating anything.
But Portland maybe would need you now, because Portland, St. Thomas, that side has not had a team in the Premier League since since Alan Steele Cole and Peter Cargill and Wayne Farmer and them, and they down there. So. And some development, maybe you could have tried to find somebody to help you get an academy set up or something set up. So
which is more your passion, Andrew? The coaching itself, or the technical development kind of thing, the technical director avenue that you went down when you were in Turks and Caicos? Which one of them you find?
I love coaching.
Yeah.
But I really and truly have a stronger passion for the development aspect of the game.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because you see what will happen, and Andrew will attest to that. Not just speaking about him now, but all the people with the technical know-how, the tactical know-how, the financial know-how, how to plant the grass know-how. All of these people need to be on board.
Yes, sir.
If we're talking about 2026, and it might sound like it's far in the world.
Yeah.
We're in October of 22 already, so we're almost then at 23, and by 23 we're looking at starting the qualifiers.
Okay.
And therefore, as I've been saying to you from day one, we need to get to start to dot the I them and cross the T's.
Yeah.
So that means that the coach,
because
we have to make the coach going to have his job cut out, but he's going to need all the support.
Yes, sir.
And therefore, this is where we need to get.
Hey, Patrick.
We need to get.
Patrick.
Yeah.
Yesterday, I said to Oral that you need about one coach to every 4 player.
Yeah.
And he asked me why I come with that number there.
Yeah.
In 2014, I watched the German under 16 team train and play. So I watched them like for 2 training sessions and then game day. They had 21 players. Take a guess what was the size of the support staff?
Or 50.
A little too much, but 35.
35?
35.
So they had more support staff than
players. And
so break down that. Like
when I went to Brazil in 2012 for training, I watched Academy under 14 team training, and that's when I observed it. There had 28 players on the park, and all coaches involved was 7. So when at lunch, when the coaches invite me to explain what I observed, which was one of the most telling moments in my life as a coach, because they talk about people who play the World Cup. Invite me to share my opinion of what I thought about their training session. So that was the first thing I pointed out. I say, I noticed that there were 7 coaches and 28 players. Why? And them say it is a part of them academy policy. That is the number. Now everybody have them different numbers, right? But I'm saying it is when I coach a national under 17 team. I was fortunate to convince Captain Burrell that we needed a goalkeeper coach, physical trainer, massage therapist, and so on. So when we went away to the tournament, that was one of the first times that a national youth team actually left with what you could call a
full quota. Full quota.
All bases covered.
All right, Patrick.
Yeah.
Patrick, respect, as usual, every time.
Yeah. Sir Andrew, want to hear only say it on a KC, yeah? We want to hear that you're involved.
Offer me a job, no, man.
We say, man, wasting potential.
You know, waste it, man.
Why, man,
your
water don't KC, Manning Cup.
No, but KC, as you just discussed, Manning Cup is just between September and December.
Exactly.
And if you reach that time, if you reach down here, so you can get knocked out in the first round and it's finished by October.
Yeah. All right, Patrick.
All right, take care.
Discussions continue, my boss. All right, 920-2053, 920-6441. CJ, morning, CJ.
Yeah, man, morning. Hold on.
Good morning, my boss.
Yeah, the Messi, I'm going to see Messi live.
Yes, man. Oh, I'm going to talk to you since
yeah, man. I can tell you.
Experience and a half, my boss.
I can tell you, when I went to the new camp in 20...
Yeah, you've been to the new camp?
I've been to the new camp.
Wow.
Yeah, man. And may I tell you, say, that experience, trust me, man, I think it was a Copa del Rey match against Real Sociedad.
Yeah. It's a stay ready.
Man, may I tell you, man, it was a... I can't even explain it. Just being in the stadium.
Yeah.
And, you know, the stadium wasn't even full, you know. Because I know one of them big match, you know. But you have the fans, them way, for the whole 90 minutes, you know.
They don't stop, man.
No stop, chance. I said, them man are not tired.
I said to myself, that was... that game on Tuesday was in the United States, you know.
Exactly.
Can you imagine if that was in South America? Can you imagine that was down in Argentina, brother?
No, man, they would have forgot full one next year. They might have a TV.
I'll give it to you, though. The people who were in that stadium, I think most of them were South Americans.
Probably coming back enough people, and believe it, you know. Them travel to go them match, you know.
Yeah, man. So people travel from...
people travel for football match, you know. You think that club ball? Look here, man.
I know, man.
But tell you, what I observe is that, the man them worship Messi. Like,
yeah, man.
It is amazing.
Look here. I am much more understanding now of the kind of fanatical support that come out on this program for Messi.
Yeah, man.
Is that Jamaica?
I know we are a small guy too. People behave, you know. But anyway,
you can imagine man like me jump up in the big last stadium and say, you know, Messi for win World Cup, though. The people probably that lynch me.
As I say, for me, let me tell you, for me, as I say, for my experience when I watched him live, just looking at him playing, it's like, I said, this man, no, it is inexplainable, may I tell you.
The thing about him is that he is so small compared to the other players.
Yeah, man.
So it's almost like, all right, because he's so small, it makes him conspicuous, you know, but it's conspicuous in a different way. He's the littlest man on the field and he is the baddest little ball up on the field.
Yeah, man. May I listen to Mr. Edwards? Morning, Mr. Edwards.
Blessed morning.
I listened from yesterday and thing and I listen. And you know what I'm going to say? This is where I am going to go against my natural tendency, because I'm normally optimistic when it comes, right?
Yeah.
You know the problem, what is the problem with what I see Mr. Edwards talking about and explaining, and it's good knowledge, you know, I appreciate it, you know. It's a dirty side of football, I call it. Meaning that this thing requires sustainability, this thing requires people to stick to it for the long haul. We are not a culture of that.
Yeah, we don't.
We are not a culture of that. You understand? And it requires some personal sacrifices. You know, I tell you one other thing we just generally probably even a word, but me can observe from Jamaica, because Jamaica I live. We take things too personal. A lot of things are for personal gain. You understand? So you see what Mr. Edwards are talking about is a lot of sacrifices that have come to see the fruits of the labor. And as him say, it's a 5, 8, 10-year thing. None of we not willing to do that.
But some of the things we might talk about are almost immediately achieved.
Yeah, but hold on.
We can start doing them now. You know?
Yeah, man, we can start doing them now. But you see, when it starts, who's going to stick around?
Well,
that is the thing, you know.
I think people like Andrew Edwards and Andre Virtue and Craig Butler, these people actually...
just have to come to that.
They are doing what they can do, you know, with the establishment of their academies, you know.
But guess what now?
Yeah.
The other persons who can provide the resources and have the money and whatever when we say links, meaning the wherewithal to carry out certain things, they are not in it for the long haul. Because again, we want to see things in a short term. That is why, you know, is it this big argument we have about the coach and the World Cup and development? That is why we have that argument. Because, again, you know, I don't know where. I'm still trying to understand where you get it from where two of them can run together, as Mr. Edwards said earlier.
But that was always my point. You know?
Yeah, right. So
in fact, I think all of the development programs Mr. Edwards mentioning, they're better able to implement them and get them funded if we qualify for CNA.
Yeah, but oral Tracy, guess what?
My point from day one.
No, man, hold on, but guess what? The double-edged sword with that, as me say.
Yeah.
It's when we get the high of qualifying and when we go there and get the monies, the people don't have the wherewithal to calm themselves down and let things and put it into proper place, if you understand me I say. Yeah. So that is my fear, you know. I can understand what you say, the spill out effect of qualifying. But you see, as I say, you see that feeling of that's what I say, the dirty side. You see that part that when reality come back down, when after you come over the high, and you go back now, you say, yeah man, we have to go do them something, man. Nobody not willing to.
But having gone through the 98 experience and basically wasted the opportunity.
You think so? You think
we should have learned from that and decide so we're not going to make the same thing happen to us again?
You know what you're going to take? You're going to take people like, as I say, Mr. Edwards, Mr. Verto, Mr. Butler, and who will stay and others will have a trust in them process.
Okay.
And the next mentality that we have I'm going to say, as black people, we don't like work together.
Oh.
That is one. Let me tell you, you know where they may drive go work. Well, where they may drive go work, you know.
That come from deep.
Well, yeah, man, I know. But where they may drive go work, I may observe one of them IAS bus there, and I be a Chinaman, me see it, you know. All I say to myself, say, you know, so all them man here probably either live the same place, or them go different place, and one man say, me go carry everybody.
You still live in our apartment complex, and some of them live next door to me. When I walk past that door morning time, boss, all 15 people me see that two room.
Exactly. Because them, you know, them people look on, say the fact that we come together and work together, it makes it better for everybody. We have a mentality where we don't like share things with people.
And they wash and eat and cook, you know. Inside the house, they out them clothes, you know.
Yeah. No, I mean, I forgot to that level there, but I just have a mindset.
They have a communal thing about them we don't really have.
The community aspect of it. And you know, say, you see, even that thing I'm here yesterday talk about the clubs, them being within close proximity, that is another part of it too. I can't over here and say next to the club and say, oh, I'm going to go over there, go just join with him and we work together. No, I have to have my own thing because I want proof, say.
Yeah.
And me. And we you see, until we get past that, well, football now going to move forward.
Football is driven by egos, you know, boss. I was saying it to Andrew yesterday.
Exactly.
Big part of the problem, brother.
So until we get to that point where, as a people, from the GFF right though, we have to say, all right, look here now, if I put aside our personal nuances and know so this is going to take some time, and it might not even achieve in our lifetime, you know. So even that, you know, sometimes people don't like the fact that them do something and they don't see it, realize, you know. You understand? Because it might not happen in your lifetime, but guess what? If you stick to it, it'll go work out. But me, I'm going to be pessimistic. I don't think Jamaica football will change. I don't think so.
Why?
I don't think so. It has to happen. From 98 till now, 20 odd years, and we not see no. I mean, right now we probably see a little bit of change in the approach, probably. But it took us 20 odd years, so probably give it another 20 odd years again.
Why?
You understand? So me, as I say, I go against the grain.
Yeah.
Because I'm not normally pessimistic, but the mentality a kill we. The myopic thing we always talk about, myopia, that kill we. It a beat with bad. Anyway, coming off of that, just quickly. Your Virgin Red Devil, I mean, they call it just so quickly, comparing Haaland and Lukaku. He's a madman, you know.
Yeah, oh Lord, it has gotten worse since.
He's a madman, you know. Let me tell you, maybe I try quickly run through some things.
It has gotten worse since that.
Yeah, man. Let me tell you, you see, people are talking about Alan can analysis. The man give the man an assist. Give the man an assist now and give in the game, give Foden the assist. Right? Let me tell you something. You see the athleticism of Haaland.
Yeah.
Very few players have that. Only Ibrahimovic probably is the next player where they have that. And that is a very key thing in how he must score the goal. The man just wants to see the ball.
I play like a hungry dog, my boss.
Look here. The man
is play like you try get a contract, it's a Haaland a player.
No, but at the same time, he's enjoying it.
Yeah, man.
He's enjoying. It's not. You know what is a good thing for him. It's not like work.
Yeah, man. I think him is a mentality monster, my boss.
The man having fun.
It's good for all of the technical skills, you know. But you see, when you have that hunger there and that desire, my boss.
Okay, man. The man, you know, so
the man wants to score every chance.
I said to myself, when I see Pep take off Ford, I say him not take off Alan, make Alan rest. Alan coming like, I don't know where my run pan, but the man is a beast, and the man is going to continue to prove some people wrong. Because them look on fear. This man, as they say, I see the quote where they say, the man said to Pep, say, him just want to touch the ball 5. Him not care about touches, him just want to get the ball in the box to score. That is efficiency, the man no business about no prettiness and flair and thing,
Yes,
the
sir.
man will all take it on the line, and that is what me want from a goal scorer.
Big up yourself, CJ.
Yeah, man, cool.
Andrew, I think the football leader. I said this already, kind of extreme. But I think Jamaica football need another dictator. Yeah, man. It has to be a dictator with a vision. See. Captain was, by and large, a kind of dictator.
Well, I didn't know that much.
You never know that?
No, not in that broad sense.
Not in a literal, probably not in a literal sense. But he had dictatorial tendencies. Let me put it that way. I think you have to, first of all, you have to have the vision and the conviction.
That are the thing.
Captain had the vision and the
remember
conviction.
We start the conversation yesterday morning.
Yeah. Captain's vision, was to qualify Jamaica for the World Cup,
Yeah, man.
And it was tunnel,
Tunnel.
And nobody couldn't tell Captain nothing, People used to call Captain madman when him started or something,
Yeah, man.
But, so you see, if you implement the kind of things that you talk about in the football, I think you're going to need that kind of leadership. Because the egos and and everybody feeling that they are God's gift to the game, are going to prevent the kind of unified force where they're going to need to make it up. That is it, when you have that leadership void, for something like this, you're going to take a hold of leadership, Andrew.
Yeah, man, naturally. Naturally.
Stero King, no error King.
Mr. Tracey, good morning.
Good morning, my boss.
Welcome back to the big show. You know the thing.
Yeah, you don't know, man.
Mr. Edwards.
Blessed morning, Stero.
Pleasant morning, sir.
Yeah, none of the Messi fans them can't tell me nothing about Messi. Me jump on a plane, go watch Messi.
Hey,
none of them can't tell me about Messi.
Mr. Edwards, yesterday me hear Oral Chase asked if you win not the cup down. You should have asked you how much you win.
Yeah, man, I know the cup, man.
I just want to win down there, man.
I just want you win down there.
Manchester beat at the final, How could I forget that?
Yeah.
My brother watched you beat at the final.
Hold on, Kesani lead up on the team, eh?
No, that was the one with Brown.
Yeah, Keslan was on the under 16 team that year.
Brown scored the goal in the final.
Yeah, Deshaun Brown.
Remember
that? Remember the goal, man. It's actually a cross compared and he deep under it and then move.
You know, say Chester ball and the whole of the match. One chance Deshaun Brown.
Nah, man, not
Chester ball, man.
Nah, sir, not go some.
That boy, JJ would have killed him with ball. JJ. And JJ run on 1 foot. You remember the final?
Baker brush up beat JJ early in the match and he run go hide, man.
No, man, JJ not play.
I one man play ball for Manchester in that match,
Oh.
The Indian. No, man.
Oh, the little Indian.
The Indian youth come from over St. Mary. Let me name again.
Remember him.
Yeah, play central midfield.
Yeah.
He was the baller.
Yes, Stero King.
Mr. Edwards, I like your presentation in regards to development. But for me, the biggest problem I have is the mentality of the baller then. And hungry. I personally think, not care how much development go on, after schoolboy football, or even before that, if a man decides alright, I'm serious about the football, I want to be a professional, I want to play for Jamaica, I want to reach at the highest level. All of the development, I'm going to go through the window.
But Stero King, that is a function of development in our lack thereof,
Yeah.
So when we are dealing with player development specifically, right? We look at 4 pillars of development. So you have the technical tactical pillar, you have the physical pillar, you have the psychosocial pillar, and you have the emotional pillar, right?
Yeah.
So that's what you have talked about coming at them last 2 days, psychosocial and emotional.
Yeah.
Right? Now, it is a pet peeve of mine that I always talk to the coaches them when me and them reason like that. Say it's something that we don't pay enough attention to in Jamaica. Right? The development of the players them in that regard.
Emotionally
and psychologically.
Yeah,
because when you talk about Alan being a mentality monster, right? Every player in every sport that reach the top level is a mentality monster.
True.
Usain Bolt is a mentality monster. Kobe Bryant is a
Michael Jordan.
Anywhere you go. Viv Richards was a mentality monster.
You're right.
You understand? So that is something that can be trained.
Yeah.
And should be trained. As a matter of fact, it is more important that development than the physical and technical side. Because the mentality will force a player to move the boundaries of technical and
that is what set them apart from the naturally talented player, mentality, you know.
Yeah, man. So that is an area that we need to spend more time investing into. And one second, look at my ball, Bridget.
Yeah.
A big part of that too, you know, is the home and the community of the players them.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So typically, let's use Whisper for example at KC. Him score 8 goals already. And if him parents them wasn't the type of parents them have, him head could have swell up where him had the greatest thing since sliced bread.
Yeah.
But this is a youth who have a very strong attitude to training and development. And I had a conversation with his father yesterday, so I kind of understand where it come from.
Plus him come through the Phoenix Academy too.
There you go. You understand? But you have another youth who come from a community where him have all him gang a walk out back of him now, you know. Coach, the boy have to play. I coach where you deal with. You follow me? Deal with? And all of a sudden now this youth out there. Hey coach, I can't come and training today.
Yeah. Different. Yeah.
When I go to university, I Virgin that mind tell me say when him go CC, you know. Baller score 2 goals a match and out a library, each up with girl when training for go on, you know. A spectator come and drape him up tiptoe.
Training.
And box him in the head back and say, you know who you are play for?
Yeah, man.
I know yourself. You have to reach a training.
Yeah.
So those are part of what is required to help the youth them to recognize that God give you a gift to play football.
But you have to do a lot.
But you have to do a lot of work.
Yeah. Yes, Stero King.
And this is why you see my call, because you see nowadays, and every one of them youth can manage the hype. So this is why you mention a stress pan mentality and hunger. And every one of them can manage the hype in a Maverick.
It's true.
But them need people around them to help them manage it.
Because I see too much talented. But because me part of the football, I play like a schoolboy football. So I know a whole heap of talented players.
Yeah, man.
You get me, I say?
The same Leon Bailey there.
Alaba like Andre Steele.
He have a monster mentality, you know. The same Leon Bailey when you say, you know, if you ever reads with him, you know.
True.
Yeah.
You get me, I say? Alaba like Andre Steele, Maverick.
Yes,
We all about the creativity. You know, things say. Alaba like that.
Yeah.
Should at least play for Jamaica national.
We can tell you, call a 100 ball a name like that.
Easy.
Between Manning Cup and the Costa Cup.
Yeah,
and the coach, right, you know, enough of them, when they play like one schoolboy football and Manning Cup, I score 1 goal.
By the way, you mentioned that. I must mention some of the ex-baller them I say up at it. I say Ali Rose.
Yeah.
Up at the game, you know, and I say Jeremy and you as well.
Yeah, I glimpse a picture with him and Bello.
Yeah, man, I say Jeremy and you, man. Me and him, we take some pictures, you know. And I say L.A. Lewis too. You remember L.A. Lewis?
Andre?
Yeah,
man.
Like
him still play.
I think him still playing, man.
He score a trick over the weekend.
Okay, he was saying to me that, boy, you know, them left him out in the cold with national team. He said, if you just go and play ball and do your thing.
Yeah.
Man, all for them together up at the team.
So,
man. Yeah.
I was going to say, the last 2 things that Andrew mentioned, that is very important in terms of development. Because I say, with too much players, you know, we have our Money Cup match already. I'm going to say a ball score 6 goals, Maverick. So the man, I'm not calling name. A KS team play for at the time. The man scored 6 goals, Maverick. And the man signaled to the coach to take him off.
What wrong with that?
Huh?
What wrong with that?
Then, Maverick, what me wrong with that?
You want to score 8 and 9 like Haaland?
You have you hungry for it, Maverick. Remember, you know, the second round, he's the second round.
Would I take him off too? Because we don't want him.
The difference, you know, you say you would have taken him off. But this man has said the player won't come off.
That's the thing.
The difference, you know.
I suppose he want to score more goals.
That's how Stero King has said.
And he never win a Money Cup for KC, you know. He never win a Money Cup for KC. He actually win a Money Cup, you know.
Yeah.
But I left him off left KC and go win Money Cup. When I call him name, you know him, no Maverick. Because I'm a baller. But everybody know. You get me, I say? So, as I say, them player need to just get the mentality part right. And just know, say, I have to take the CEO. This is why the ball of them are Europe and Africa head away, you know. Because them man, they can just be humble. And like,
but you have to see yourself as a part of the solution to, you know, Stero King. You have to see yourself as part of the solution to, you know. So you see, yeah, because the youth, them were in your space of influence. You have to help guide them to, you know, and take it as a personal responsibility. Say, hey, Andrew, you have the potential to play for Jamaica. So, like, remember one time, I don't remember his name. He used to play for Harborview and he play a couple games for Jamaica.
Rum.
No, he's a defender. And he might give me a story, say, when he might come up, you know, the community where he come from, the man them only even allow him to drink all a soda around there when him start play for Jamaica. And him say, go dance to the man, them beat him for go home, go sleep and them thing there. You know, man. Say,
Anjo.
Yeah.
I'm currently on a school compound. They see Money Cup ball at him, I talk to him, I tell him to go to class. every day.
Yeah, man. Yeah, do the right
you
thing.
Currently, I'm speaking to you. I'm on a school compound working.
Yeah.
And them have match late. I have to tell him, say, yo, come off on the feet. Go sit down and rest.
Rest your foot.
Don't drink no soda. Drink some water. I talk to them. It's not my alma mater, you know.
Yeah, man.
But guess what, man? So we used to play football, so I understand.
Understand.
So you do the right. You do the right, brother. More pause.
Every day. You get what I say? So
all right, Stero King.
Yeah, man.
No, Stero King. Good call.
Right.
Andrew, I want to play devil's advocate with some.
Yeah, man.
In terms of development and producing elite talent in the football, you think commensurate to the size of Jamaica, we're producing it, the level of talent and the level of players we're producing is commensurate with our size and our resource base and all of them something. Are we being overly ambitious for things that Jamaica can produce 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 world-class ballers?
I don't think so.
Yeah?
I don't think so. I think there's no limit on the level that we can produce. I think naturally we start ahead of a lot of people in terms of our physical capacities and the innate talents that we seem to just have. Right? Yeah. So is really the structures that we put around the development of those athletes to take them to another level. Right? And I think...
And as I say, if it entails producing 3 Leon Baileys rather than 2 Leon Baileys.
Yeah, man, we can do it. I remember, you don't have to look far if you know say true we are talking. Remember, say, in a track and field, you know.
Yeah, man. The blueprint there.
Listen, man.
Punch way above the weight.
Punch way above the weight, you know. Every single year when you look at champs and the under-20 World Cup, World Championship, you see the level of Gosso.
Yeah, man.
The trajectory does
little Jamaica tussle with the big boys.
So there's no reason why we can't do it in a football beyond the desire to do it.
Yeah. Good point. Yeah, that's the response I need. But you know, sometimes some people when you talk to them say to you, say, "Boy, Jamaica don't have no right to do
no,
this."
No, man, not go so man.
You can't think so.
In fact, Oral, a big part of this in 2014, 2015, my wife was doing a course. And she had an assignment, almost like a little mini thesis, and I help her with it. The assignment was to basically create a project for Jamaica 2030, right? That that big Jamaica 2030 thing.
Yeah, that thing. Yeah.
So she had about 6 options, and one of the options was for Jamaica for host an international sporting event, right? So when we look on it, I squeeze in and I say, 2029 we have an under-17 World Cup for men, and 2030 we have an under-17 World Cup for women. Yeah. So me say, all right, I could do the thing. So we write the proposal, right, for host both under-17 World Cups, similar to what Trinidad did some years ago. So we was 2029 man and 2030 woman. Yeah. Then, and we're not just hosting them, but we host them with the intention to
prepare some team to win it. Use the home advantage and win it.
Of course. Yeah. Then, and it might seem like something in the skies or in the moon, but I personally believe it is possible. Yeah. To the extent where we have the cohort of players, of boys and girls born in the requisite year.
I'm with you, but me no say.
But no, more say clear. We have listing of players in Europe and the USA in the age group there. So if corporate Jamaica and the government and the JFF decide say they want to move on a project, we have information can start on it right away.
Yeah, man. Is you say what I did a while ago was say something to you that me know probably the average Jamaica fan are gonna think. Some fans are gonna think like that,
Yeah.
Because some people out there in a fandom, still don't believe Jamaica is a football nation and don't feel we're capable of doing some of the things you're aspiring to do, And people like me kind of would have loved to see Jamaica do it.
Yeah.
Because them said, Jamaica don't take football serious and that kind of thing. That's a part of the thing we have to that's a part of the wave you have to swim against,
Yes, man. It's true.
We don't have a football culture,
But
it's a big part of it. It's a critical. Dalton called for a break long time, but it's a critical part of the battle,
Yeah.
Forget the mentality of not just the football functionaries, but forget the football fandom for buy into it.
So one of the things we're not talking about yet, is partnerships.
That would have come under partnership.
Yeah, in the development, because we have to build partnerships, we have to build up a whole heap of MOUs with all of the universities, the ministries of government, the PSOJ, football people, active and not so active, past players, you name it, local and international. we have to have a very broad view of this thing, you know.
All hands
on deck kind of
because
thing.
People, nothing is more wonderful than a successful football team, you know. As we said, sorry for the people who can't remember 1998.
Yeah.
But I can remember another sequence of moments, let me call it that, than when Jamaica marched the process of qualifying for that World Cup and actually getting there, you know, my boss. As much as Usain Bolt and Shelley and Fraser them do them thing when them go for the Olympics go run, you know. We had do that from 1948, you know.
Yeah, man.
But in terms of national impact, my boss, I cannot remember another. Personally, I can't remember another experience.
I'm on the same page with you with that.
Cannot remember it.
Listen, some things that go on a stadium that Sunday evening when the actual reality is home.
There's a point at which people began to believe.
Yeah.
You see, from that point onwards to the actual moment of qualification, my boss, it is something that I can't describe it. It's hard to describe. You
have to experience it.
It's hard to recount to anybody. So why would we not want to? I mean, the first time is always different, you know.
Of course.
But why would we not want to sustain that
But the first time we can win a U17 World Cup for the first time.
For the first time. We can win an under-17 Women's World Cup for the first time.
And it is not beyond us.
All right, we go for a quick break on the Sports Explosion. We're back in a jiffy. We could talk and talk and talk. You know we stay ready. We go for a quick break. We're back in a jiffy. We do it. We have the explosion after this now. Explosion segment when we come back.
Sports Explosion, good morning. I want to clarify what Manager is saying because I think he's misunderstanding. There was a caller on another vlog where Mr. Speed said that JFF is not responsible for the development of our building a career of a player, which is very different from what Manager is trying to say. I don't think he said no longer will the JFF promote local players. He's really trying to say that the national team, is not a instrument to develop or build a career of a player. That's what I think he said. So we got to put that in the proper context.
Big up Sports Explosion. Big up Maverick. Big up Anjo. Anjo, brilliant talk, brother. Brilliant talk. I love that. And some of the foreign players then can put in some funds to this to Anjo. Some of the English base them will carry into brother. They can put in some of this. You hear me now, world? Iniesta. Dear me ask if you check out the thing, brother. One Mr. brother, when I hear nothing from him. Yeah. You are going for Iniesta, brother.
Morning time, below average here. None of these players will not donate any money but $10,000 out of their money for help develop Jamaica football and nothing like that. The ones from were born in England, then just hitching on to a train, trying to further them career because them can't make England side. They're not no patriotism towards Jamaica to do something like that. And the ones that were born here, right, them worse. These set nowadays. We play for this day. Worse is them same one that stick up the federation about them want $10,000 per game in the World Cup qualifier. So they're not going to donate any money. These ones that were born here, you'd expect that them probably not do it because them come from Jamaica, but they are perfidious. They are perfidious. So don't expect that. That won't happen anytime soon. Not with these players.
Sports Explosion, big up out of New York. Oral. You have to find a man to break down this development thing right now to the T. When Mr. Williams there talk about it, your point was forget to the next World Cup, get to the next World Cup. How many hear you jump on your point this morning and say, get to the next World Cup before development? How many hear you read out this one here? And say a man who have a plan, who go study the thing and come back now and talk about the development. But not try to think out of the box. You understand? That's a phone problem. Not think out of the box.
Yeah, Mr. Tracey, good morning to you and the family. It's 92. I hope you maintain this kind of a positive attitude towards the JFF. It's really refreshing. And people like me are always, others are going to keep watching because he's a person where today you said this and tomorrow. So people need to listen to everything we're saying carefully, know what you're saying now. Yeah, because you will later on you have totally different thing. But I love the positive vibration. Keep it up. Yeah, man. We need to support the program and see what can be done. All right. Big up to all listeners.
Hey, morning, Oral. I know I never hear you talk about this. You know, maybe you talk about it and I didn't hear. But can you imagine Jamaica Talawa win CPL? We have to big them up. Good job. But imagine the Talawa win CPL and we never get not even one match out here so we could have go watch them play. You know. Give me your take on that because I think the owners should at least give us one home match here so that we, the Jamaican public and supporters, could get a chance to go and see them play in live and living color. What's your take on that?
That was our Explosial Segment.
Situation. Welcome back. The Talawa situation, boss. It's not Jamaica alone never get any games. I don't think they went to Barbados either. In fact, none of the finalists got any games. It's just, I think it's a spillover from the COVID period in the CPL when they had designated grounds. I think eventually, probably by next season, they will go back to home teams. Remember, Jamaica were having challenges even before the COVID-19, in terms of the viability of the local franchise. Remember, they played some games in Florida. But I don't know. Ideally, it would be great to have the champions play at home in front of Park Sabina Park. But next season, I suppose, the defending champions. The next thing I wanted to mention, the Virgin, we are talking about the development versus qualifying for the World Cup. You hear Andrew said we mustn't try to qualify for the World Cup, boss? We're going to try to qualify for the World Cup by about next year it start?
Yeah, man.
By about the end of next year it start,
Yeah, 2024.
That is what Mr. Halgrim is here for. And I think, Andrew, didn't you say explicitly that you cannot have a problem with a coach coming here if you try to qualify for Jamaica for the World Cup?
Well, we never single it down to the coach. Well, we say that the national program cannot sacrifice one or the other.
Exactly.
You understand? The two things must occur in tandem together.
Yeah, so this was never a discussion. This was always my point, It's not either or. Some of these people sound them like them want you pick development over trying to qualify for the World Cup, which is rubbish. Which I think is rubbish.
I wouldn't go as far as say rubbish, but I don't agree with that approach, full stop. You understand?
But you don't think it's quite rubbish?
No, I'm not going to say a rubbish. That's your choice.
And I explained why it's
rubbish. But may I say, the two things can and should happen together. Right? Mm-hmm. And it's simple. Mm-hmm. I don't believe that when we qualify for 2026, we should wait another 24 years before we qualify again.
I agree.
See? So,
I agree.
The development
but not qualifying for 2026.
The development
don't stop you from doing anything that you wanted to do.
No. And it is important that the development occurs step by step with the qualification for 2026 so that we can also qualify for 2030 and all beyond that.
Yeah. Fine. So, but inherent in whatever we do in football, we're going to always try to qualify a team for the World Cup.
You have to because of the flagship thing and it's going to bring the most financial resources into the program.
Absolutely. You can't get rid of that, So this thing where people have on the back of them head about wrong priority. Development should be the priority. Don't be imbecilic about the thing. See, you must understand the local football spectrum and how it's structured. Right? We literally can't afford to not try to qualify for the World Cup. If you get what I'm saying.
Well, I don't even think it should have come down to a choice of not trying to qualify for the World Cup.
But people suggesting that.
In other words, to me, that would be a foolhardy kind of a suggestion. Because the rewards for qualifying for the World Cup is such that you actually want to qualify for the World Cup. You need to qualify.
And we have one of these naysayers online, Pioneer, welcome to the show. It's all like him gone. That haunting beep sound, Norton. When that beep sound come on, that sound like the phone gone, Is Pioneer was there? Is he still there? Pioneer, call back right and receive the phone over. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, Pioneer one of the man them take the thing like him take the development versus the qualification thing. It's not an either or.
But we need to get rid of the versus there.
Yeah.
The conversation.
That's what I'm trying to make them
and reason it from a place of...
One thing to qualify for the World Cup, right? Don't mean you don't want development people.
It shouldn't mean that.
But some of them sound like they would have sacrificed qualifying for the World Cup to try and get this.
That don't make no sense, man.
That don't make no sense.
That don't make no sense.
If you understand is the senior football program and especially a World Cup campaign that drives the entire process.
Absolutely.
Especially in a non-football culture like Jamaica, where we depend on trickle-down interest basically. Especially in a non-football culture like Jamaica, where we depend on trickle-down interest basically. Trickle-down interest we depend on Jamaica. You know? All right, like how we have the time, you mentioned the thing about the competitions.
Yeah, leagues and competitions.
Right.
So
realistically, I think you mentioned to me about 17, 18 and 19. I'm telling you not too much, Andrew.
No, what I was proposing that I think we should aim to have national youth competitions for 14, 16 and 18 years old.
14, 16.
Right. And the rationale behind it is that the first international competition is 17. Right, but the first regional competition is 15. So what you want to do is you want to give the players adequate preparation to matriculate to each phase properly.
So all of that will be strategic in preparing the
national teams. Exactly. And then you also remember that I mentioned that you normally start to identify your national players at 14 years old. So that those competitions now would give us the basis from which we're going to start to identify those players.
All right, we have Pioneer online. Pioneer, morning.
Blessings, Marvin. Where are you going with that, brother?
Yeah, development versus qualifying for the World Cup. Are your thesis started?
Unfortunately, when I started listening, I like about 5 minutes.
Well, you don't start listening. Don't you been here from yesterday?
Yeah, man. No, but I listened to the entirety of the show.
Yeah, we spoke more about the topic today.
Yeah, but Andrew, I'm going to have respect for as a coach. Big up yourself, my version. I actually coach at the 2 high schools in Jamaica that I attend. Monroe College and St. Elizabeth Technical.
Oh, you didn't go State to Pioneer?
Yeah, man. Finish up my schooling.
Which one of you got expelled from?
No, I never get expelled from them. But you think you're like a trouble on the damn morning.
Yeah.
I was curious to hear Andrew's views because I've been listening intently yesterday. Saying to hear. But I wanted to hear exactly, and I hear bits and pieces since 10 o'clock.
Yes.
I'm kind of realized Andrew's a man with big fan development.
Yeah,
and
man. That's why he's here. That's why he's here.
All right. And it sounds like he has managed to convince you, Marcus, that the whole development process is critical to football.
So did I ever argue that development is not critical to the football?
All right. I'm not sure.
Yes, I'm tell you about them, man.
I'm sure you.
The man feel you say if you try qualify for the World Cup, me don't want development. That's the reason.
All right. Hold on, Bridget.
Yes, sir.
Hold on.
Yes, sir.
I'm sure you're disingenuous because the Virgin Carl, let me just start this and said that we are people like us are sounding like call FIFA and tell them to not bother with no qualify. Nobody's saying that. Then, and that's how we're disingenuous, Virgin. And this, the genesis of this.
Then I sort of gauge the argument, my boss.
Hold on, Virgin. The genesis of this, my friend, is Chris Williams' interview.
Yeah, that's the genesis.
When basically what the man said to you is that he wasn't overly enthused
about the appointment of the coach.
Because he thinks that should be the third step along the way.
And I respectfully disagreed with him.
All right, good.
We should pursue both.
All right.
That was the genesis. That was my point.
My point is out here.
Yes.
I mean, here again with another little hypocritical thing.
And by the way, Andrew agrees with that as well. It's Andrew's foolhardy to think we should not try qualify for the World Cup.
And nobody's saying we shouldn't.
They did what you're saying.
No, one was saying, people like myself is saying that the greater emphasis should be. And this is with a backdrop of limited resources.
Yes.
See, this is all right. I'm going to find out something.
Sorry, you missed the first part of what Andrew said.
Yeah, man. I'm probably going to go on the podcast and listen.
He said that this thing, you don't need a great resource outlay if do some of the things that we need to do. That is what Andrew pointed out earlier.
More ask Andrew this. Then, as a man who's a coach and a man who, what do you think about the level of coaching that exists in Jamaica now, right? And do you think it is
on par, protect where we need to go in our football development.
The frank and brutal answer is that I may include myself in it to be very clear.
Yeah.
Our level of coaching is very low and poor. Yeah.
Wow.
We need to invest seriously in coaching education, and me not talk about just courses, right? I think a big part of coaching education development is experiences. Something that I think I hear Mr. Algrimson mention, or I think maybe Mr. Speed mentioned that Mr. Algrimson want to include coaches and his staff to travel. I remember when I was under 17 coach, what's his name, the German coach that we had again?
Schaefer.
Yeah, he wanted to take the youth coaches on some of the trips that he went to so that we could have learned the processes of how the team train and see how the competition is organized and stuff.
Was it done, Andrew?
But when I stick up in little brother, beyond that, you see, for example, going to youth tournaments in the US, the education that I get from going to that, me never get that in no course for me though.
Yeah.
You understand? Going and watching traffic academy training
in
Brazil for 30 days. Me not get that from going to a coaching course.
So that is what kind of
so some of those things need to happen.
Yeah.
Where we get people out there to go to tournaments, get people
coach
to go
improvement crucial, critical.
Big time, man.
All right, and as me I'm again now. When I listen to Chris this morning, that was the first point of the morning. Mr. Andre Virtue, of our football culture. Do a little thing the other day. I think of a youth another thing.
Yeah.
All right. And to the point we are talking about Marvel, we are saying people now sponsor them things. When he was naming out his sponsorship roster, I heard several major corporate sponsors on board with the thing with the money there. And these are the things that we are talking about, brother. Listen to me. In order for the football, you just spoke to us having a football culture and a jam. Marvel, we'll never have a football culture if the core of the players are going to represent us at the senior national level are coming from overseas. See, I'm not talking about the money who born here. I'm not talking about the money who born overseas. One of the things that made the 98 campaign so successful and they also have a great vibe in the country is because man like me who know Shorty Malcolm and Theodore and Durant Down would have jumped on Van Back from Mobile come and see them because of our youth them that. They never get that with the current setup of how the thing go. When you have bring 14 or 23 players from overseas, you now get that local interest, brother, and local enthusiasm in the football. So now have been a culture. The way the culture is not from the top up, brother, it's from the bottom. It's not from the top down, it's from the bottom up. You know why you I seem to advocate for more than ever, Maverick, is that listen, let's start at the top. And then hopefully...
No, start at the top, my boss. Why you keep misrepresenting my position, my boss? And I see one thing, Pioneer, what I can't understand with people like you or your reason, this particular issue, is that you're reading me wanting to try and qualify for the World Cup. Meaning says that alone me want out of the football. No go so, my boss. No, go so when Mr. Williams come... Remember when this thing started, you know? Mr. Williams admitted, he said it here, you know.
Yeah.
This thing started with my observation of him basically pouring cold water and the hiring of the coach to try and qualify the team for the World Cup. And I thought that was odd. So that is why I got him here.
And people like me, because brother, we have more. I know this. We have had more failures.
Stick up in the Pioneer.
Yeah.
Right. You know, say if we just kind of like step back a little bit and absorb a little more, we realize that we have more points of convergence than we have points of departure.
Mr. Williams never the far, you know.
The
only thing I had with him is that he sounded as if he was pouring cold water on the appointment of the coach. And that is the only difference. And I never thought we need.
And he might have his reasons for that. So that's fine.
So we probably know I've done fit with development.
I don't know if you're listening to me. And like he was the first person who came on after Mr. Williams. And Maverick was saying that he and Mr. Williams is trying to get to the same place. And the first thing I'm saying to him, I say, yes, Bridget, you're not trying to get to the same place, but you are trying to go there to visit Mr. Williams. Trying to go there to live him and try to buy.
I remember that.
But going there to visit, my boss. Going there to visit don't mean you're always going to go in. Means you can always go there go visit. Isn't that what we are trying to achieve? Go visit regularly. It's not a big difference, you know. You hear the difference, Andrew. All me I said to Mr. Williams, development ought not necessarily to come at a sacrifice trying to qualify for the World Cup.
Neither should qualify for the World Cup.
Neither should qualify for the World Cup. Sacrifice development. That was my point.
And we can all agree. We all agree on that. But Andrew, the difference is what do we prioritize?
Listen. So you see when it's when we use the word prioritizing still.
Yeah.
It's almost like we say one more important than the other. No, along the spectrum of of a development plan, right? One will always supersede the other. So, for example, between now and 2024, is a window in which development should be prioritized ahead of World Cup qualifying. Right? When you get to 2024 now, when the campaign start, then the qualification becomes the main priority. So the two things them at different times are going in front of the other in terms of the actual delivery or execution.
Sequence of time.
But in reality, the two things must be happening simultaneously.
And you see, it's all of this is in the context of that we have seen the current leadership and even the not so long ago leadership. Showing a lack of vision where development is concerned. You just mentioned Schaefer's insistence the under-24s come and chip with the senior team. I'm sure that wasn't done.
No, it wasn't.
But yes, we see other administrators when I really necessary to go punch or run go punch. So all of this over after Bridget. It's not in a battle chapter. We know who I work with, I would know the culture, I would know the mindset of this.
All of that is true. What
people like me now, not over the N2s because I'm one go for a big coach. But we have had more players with big coaches than success. We had the Virgin, Lazarone before, we had some other Virgin. We have only had one success with
a foreign coach. We have one success, full stop. In terms of the World Cup.
Successes at the junior level with local coach.
Okay. Yes.
See, so I said, Virgin, let me look at that high pass. Those of us who not still are over the moon by just the hiring of a coach. What we are looking at the football from a deeper level, we want more things at the grassroots. We want the coaching get developed. Seeing with the amount of spaces are available and with the quality of the players, the current federation.
We have a good chance. Put it that way.
We have a very good. That's something. Seeing, but let me say, beyond that, what now?
So we have to do all of them things that we me and Andrew and Chris Williams that talk about, my boss.
So me say,
don't allow the fire to cool if and when we qualify. Don't do like what we did in 1998 and waste the opportunity.
You want me to give the first thing, one of the first utterances of the court after the initial question was that he only get 2 days to prepare the team.
Yeah.
Seeing, is that going to change in the future? Are we going to see, going forward, are we going to see a situation where we get the team together? Because if we could have the best international players are the biggest names from England, if the man can't be cohesion and chemistry, you know what I'm saying?
The way the things structure now, Pioneer, we're not going to get them for more than 5 days most of the time.
But
is the way the calendar structure now?
I said the way how to get around that is to start from the grassroots to team some of these players we will develop. We'll have them playing together from a young age, so them kind of used to each other. So when them get together later on, it's not like a total stranger.
All right, Pioneer, they don't play it amongst the background. Big up yourself.
Anyway, my brother, big up yourself, then.
Big up yourself. Andrew, big up yourself.
Yeah, man,
respect. If you have a term name, Aluta continue. The struggle continues.
The struggle continues. Yeah, man.
And we will continue. We are going to continue the discourse and the discussion with us. We have later in a morning cup.
I will play Meadowbrook later, Constant Spring.
So.
And we alone them score points so far, so we can't say.
What was the score in the game?
3-1 when they beat them first game.
No, it's not a bad little team if you don't get them 3-1.
Yeah, man.
So Whisper will add to him goal tally later.
Well, we expect that.
Yeah. But watch him play a couple times. Like the typical Jamaican young player, I think he can do a little bit more half of the box. Me right or me wrong?
Yeah, he might develop and he might get there. I think since we started, we see a lot of improvement and him continue.
In terms of him technical skills,
he might take on information very, very well.
Okay, that's important.
Yeah, man, take on information very well. And he have an eagerness to learn. Too,
yeah, that's important.
Yeah.
All right, good luck. Good luck later.
Give thanks.
And we will continue this, Whenever time I feel a need for tap into your your resourcefulness, and as I'm going to re-employ you as a co-host, my boy.
It might like sound re-employ. That means there's some butter there on the collect.
You know my power still. Anyway, big up yourself, good reason, we like it,
Yeah, man.
Good reason, my boss.
We love them opportunities.
Yeah, man, we love them. And as we say, the motive is there is for the betterment of the football.
Natural.
That's the motive,
Yeah, man.
Understand me? So, we don't have no hidden agenda. We don't have no office where we are trying to get.
No.
Like when me know probably you. I think you probably have aspirations for sit down at the big office.
Yeah, I don't know secret, but at the end of the day, that now being there or not being there is not my real thing.
Your real passion and your conviction is for the improvement of the game.
Simple.
Yeah, brilliant, my boss. Big up yourself, Hope at the end of the season I can be referring to you as
champion.
You're gonna join that very select band of winning both the Manning and the Doncaster Cup. Yeah. So that should be incentive. Fire under your sails, forget it, don't it?
Yeah, man. But just for the record, one more time.
You're not the coach.
I Stampy are the coach. Yeah, man. And a good youth too.
Big up Stampy.
Yeah, man. A good youth.
Big up Stampy, man. Big up yourself, Stampy. All right. That's it, We'll be back here tomorrow morning to pick it up all over again. Until then, this has been the Big Bad Sports Explosion.